Hi everyone. In this video we're going to be looking at participating in your online classes using Microsoft Teams. So all teaching and learning this year will be facilitated through Teams, and the classes will be broadcast and managed through the Teams app. So it's very important that you download and install the desktop version of this app, and not to be relying on the web app because it's not sufficient and it doesn't contain all the features that you're going to need. So you will need to install the Teams app on every computer that you use in Diffie. So every time you go into a computer room and sit at a new computer, you'll have to install Teams. So we'd recommend you always try and use the same one. You'll need to install it on your personal laptop, and you can even install it on mobile devices, which if you're really stuck can be used to participate in a class. So how do we go about installing the Teams app? Well, you're going to start on the Diffie homepage just like we did before. And the first thing you need to do is enter your Office 365 account. So if you click on your email icon, that'll bring you straight into the Office 365 dashboard. And if we bypass all of the icons we've already looked at, Teams is over here on the right-hand side. So you're going to click on the Teams icon, which will again bring you to this tab. And in this tab here, you have the option to download the app. Now, don't skip ahead and say use the web app because we really need to install the desktop version of this. So I'm on a Mac, so it's telling me get the Mac app. You're on a Windows machine, it'll tell you get the Windows app. So you're going to click on this and the download package will start coming down just like any other file that you might download. So let that finish. And then you can click to open the file and run through the installer. So enter any passwords and agree to any licenses that it asks you for, and then Teams will be installed on your computer. Now that you have the app installed, you just need to open it. So from your list of applications, you can search through until you find Teams, or you can just use the search function on your pop-up menu to locate Teams. When you enter Teams for the first time, you're going to be asked to enter your username and password. And it's important that you enter the LMETB credentials that start with 20. Okay, so for example, 20 jmatthews.dfe@lmetb.ie, because it's through your college user account that we find you and add you to classes. So when you finally get yourself signed in, you'll notice in your Teams dashboard that you're possibly already a member of a couple of teams. And this is because you've started being automatically assigned to your different classes, and we've been adding you into groups. So you can see some of your subjects are already here. Now this isn't the most important window in Teams. It's the one that you usually come straight into that shows you in all these little tiles the different teams that you're a part of. But the most important one for you guys is actually the calendar tile. So if you click down onto calendar and have a look at today, so this is my calendar now, you can see here that there were lots of meetings set up for today. So think of these meetings like classes. This is going to become your timetable. So if I step forward into next week, which is our first week of classes, you can see that I've already started to add some of my classes to this timetable. So these are some for the multimedia group, and it's already about half done. So if you, every day that you're using Teams, come into the calendar tab, you will see the classes that you have for that day. So your calendar in Microsoft Teams is basically like your timetable. To view the calendar, you click on the calendar. Any class that you're a member of is going to appear in that calendar, and you can quickly join a class, which is basically a Teams meeting, from the calendar. You just hover over the class and press join. Remember, you can only join the meetings at the appropriate times. So if you have a 10 o'clock class, you need to be in Teams, in your calendar at 10 o'clock, ready to join the meeting. I'm just going to quickly cover invitations within Teams. So over the next week or so, as you're in your email account, you might notice that you're getting a lot of notifications and invitations to online classes. This is happening because all of the staff are setting up their timetables and setting up your calendars in Teams by creating these meetings. We'll have them reoccurring weekly because the timetable is the same week in and week out. So really these invitations are only going to issue once. It's important that you don't start to rely on the invitations you get in your email account as a notification about classes. Your way of managing your online classes is to go to your Teams calendar, okay? We want to try and reserve email for direct contact with your teachers and your admin staff,
Otherwise, it kind of like almost loses the point of it, or it becomes a very ineffective method of communication because it's just all clogged up with notifications that you're going to start ignoring. So those notifications will disappear after this week and next week, and you will just be using your team's calendar to manage your classes.
I've just added a new meeting here just so we can see what it would actually look like. So it's now 6:45, and I'm in my calendar, and this meeting is available. So you can see this red line is the current time, and the meeting is taking up this particular time block, and there's a little purple button on it that says join. So I can click in here to join this meeting, and I get to decide if I want to have my video on, have my audio on. So it does help our engagement with you if you can please keep on your video. I know it's not comfortable, believe us, none of us like it, but it does help that we're able to see you.
So I can join the meeting and then you can see me. So I can see you, hopefully. You may not always see yourself full screen. It's usually the person who's speaking that gets the full screen option. You might see yourself in a small tile along the very bottom of the screen, or you might be one of 9 tiles that constantly changes throughout the meeting. The important thing that I want you to see is this little pop-up bar that appears along the bottom of your meeting screen. Now, this lets you control a couple of really important things, and you can also see how it looks from my end as well. So one of them is raise your hand. So let's say you have a question during a presentation and something you just want to ask, okay? So you can choose to raise your hand. Now, we can see a list of participants of our meeting. So you may not have this button, but I can click on participants and I can see who's here. So right now it's just me, but I've got my hand up, right? So I can see, right, well, Jessica, you've got a question. So I can call you out, you can unmute your microphone and you can ask your question, and then you can lower your hand. If a couple of people have the same question, perhaps it'll be answered before I call on you, so you can lower your own hand, or I can lower your hand for you if I think that it's been covered. Let's say that you don't have a microphone that's working, or it's really noisy at home and you don't feel comfortable speaking up, or you've had your hand up for a little bit and we didn't come to you. Now remember, it's not just you online. There's going to be maybe 14 people in the room where we are, and then there's going to be another 14 people online. So if we don't see your hand raised, it's not that we're ignoring you, it's probably just that there's a lot going on and we haven't got a chance, or we haven't seen that the hand is raised. So you can click on this other icon here and you can start a little conversation. So you could type in, for example, Jessica, I have a question, type your question, blah, 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 press return. And this is going to get added to our meeting chat. So we'd always try and finish the meeting a few minutes before the end of the session so that we can go through any questions that appear up here in the meeting chat, and then we can address them one by one. So it's another way for you to communicate, especially if you don't have a good audio connection or it's pretty noisy at home. You should also know that you can mute your own microphone. So if you've got a lot of background noise, you can mute by just pressing this. And then there is no sound, okay? You can also turn on and off your camera. Now, please do keep your camera on. Having the camera on really does help with engagement, okay? It's very, very difficult to follow if you can't see someone. So we're all being encouraged to keep our cameras on to help your engagement. And it would also really help our engagement if we can see you. So please do that. Not comfortable, I know. Nobody's happy about it, but it's just where we are right now, okay? You might be asked to share your screen, and I might share my screen with you. So if I was to want to share something with you, I can click on this button here to open the share tray, and I can choose a particular document, a particular window. I could share my desktop. So I just happen to have PowerPoint open for this. So I'm just going to go straight to the PowerPoint slideshow, and that will take over the screen. If I wanted to stop sharing my screen, the meeting's been kind of minimized to this little window down here. To stop sharing the screen, I press on the little X in the box here, and that stops sharing the screen and it goes back to the video, okay? If I ask you to share your screen, you can do it in exactly the same way. So I could call you out and say, right, how's your assignment going? Let's see how you're doing. And then you can click this button to open your share tray and you can show me what it is that you're working on. It doesn't always have to be public either. So there is, at the moment in the team, like just one general channel, but we can have private channels. So there can be a private communication. It doesn't always have to be an open forum with everybody watching. And we're going to use private channels for things like a one-to-one discussion or giving feedback on an assignment, which obviously we wouldn't want to do publicly. So you can feel confident about participating in a private sense. If you don't want to do it in the public forum, that's absolutely fine. So let's have a little look if we were to go back into Teams and go to the Teams tab and get into a particular team. So I'll just pick one here. I'm going to move this out of the way. So I'll pick a team here and have a look at what's inside it. So here's what I mean about having just one general channel. Everybody is in this channel, but I can also choose to add other channels and have private meeting rooms. And that's something we'll look at as the year goes on, okay? In the posts section, you can see a history of anything that happened inside the team. So we're like doing a little demo for a video or a meeting that was held earlier on, conversations during meetings between participants. Something we might also use in this area here would be to have like a little poll. So if we're discussing something and I just want to see what the kind of engagement is like, or if everyone is understanding the topic, I might post a little poll that would just ask you to kind of rate your response, or a yes or no, do I understand? And then I can see that feedback quite clearly, how people are getting on with that. So they can be anonymous, sometimes they can be non-anonymous, so I can see who's answered what, but it would only ever be me that can see it, not the other members of the class. We can also put files inside Teams, although we probably will have limited use for this because we're mostly going to use Moodle for all of your files and resources, but it's possible to put files in here as well. If you are looking for a way to join a meeting, okay, that isn't in your calendar, although mostly you should be just going straight to the calendar, you can also join meetings from directly within the team. So for example, you could, if this meeting was active, you'd be able to come in here and click the join button here as well. So there's another way of getting in, but your best way is still going to be using your calendar and clicking join to join that meeting there. Okay, so that's Teams, and that's a general idea of what it's going to look like, how you're going to join, and how you're going to participate, okay? It would be a great idea if you had a headset with a microphone, but I know not everybody has those, so just try and find yourself a quiet space at home where you're not likely to be interrupted, and where you feel confident to be able to speak freely.